high volume, high volume, high volume.
Welcome to episode number 69. Episode number 69 of Inside Sports with Rashad Mitchell, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Let's get into it, man. Got a lot to get into for today. This September the 18th, in that mid part of September. So looking forward to finishing strong this month. But we got a lot going on with college football. Let's do the recap of the college football scenario. Last week we had a big game, a few big games last week. Number one, Georgia and Tennessee. That was a big game right there. Georgia and Tennessee. Because you look at that matchup, that was a great matchup. It definitely lived up to the hype. That was a big time matchup at that time, as far as that's concerned. When we look at that matchup, definitely lived up to the hype. 38 was trying to score 44-38 favor of Georgia. Georgia handled their business, played very well. Georgia showed why they're a good team. They're not as good on defense. They showed that they got a little warts on defense, but from an offensive standpoint, Gunnar Stockton played very well. threw a key touchdown pass in the end zone, and they went for two. The game went to overtime. It was a good time, big time win for University of Georgia. They win these kind of games all the time. They're not as good as they usually are, but 44-41, excuse me, was the final score in overtime. 44-41, not 44-38, 44-41. The game went touchdown by the running back. He was able to score. And he was able to win the game. So give credit where it's due, man, to this team, Georgia. He was able to win the game. So give credit where it's due, man. So Georgia know how to win these big games. Kirby Smart is a big time coach in big spots. That was a big game. Number 6 Georgia versus number 15 Tennessee, and Georgia is now 3-0, and Tennessee is 2-1. Josh McCray scored the game-winning walk-off touchdown. And again, this is a tough loss for Tennessee because Tennessee had this game won. It was up again 38-30. It was all the pressures on Gunnar Stockton to lead the team down the field to score a touchdown and go for two to tie it, and he was able to cash in on that. So give credit where it's due. And despite losing the game, Joey Aguilar had 371 yards, 4 touchdown passes, and ran 4 touchdowns. So it shows you again. Usually, we look at University of Georgia, usually have a great defense. They definitely has not represented that in this game, as far as the great defense that they usually accustomed to being. They give up 41 points, including 5 touchdowns overall to the quarterback Joey Aguilar of Tennessee. But look at Gunnar Stockton, man. You gotta give him credit, man. 204 yards passing, 2 touchdowns. He ran 4 touchdowns, but he came through in the clutch. Trailing 38-30, but 2:32 to go in the game. He connected with London Humphreys on a 4th down. Think about that. On a 28-yard fade route in the end zone, a 2-point conversion tied the game. So only thing that Tennessee had to do was make a stop. They go on to possibly win the game. So, but give credit what's due to Georgia. They won that game. It was a big game. And also, the facts and figures, I see some information here that Tennessee became the 3rd team to score on its first 3 drives against Georgia since Kirby Smart took over in 2016. Also, Joey Aguilar, the quarterback of University of Tennessee, got off to a hot start. He completed his first 14 passes for 213 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Aguilar is the first SEC quarterback to go 14 of 14, 14 for 14 in 20 seasons. That shows you again that the Georgia defense is falling off the face of the earth. They're not as good as they used to be. I'm saying that's not your typical Georgia team where the defense is a liability. That's what you see in this game right here from last week. But takeaways from this is that this offense is definitely executing like it was planned. They attacked the passing game, did their thing. The Bulldogs secondary established dominance and frustrated Tennessee's passing game. The victory could be enough to get Georgia into the top 4. But again, the Bulldogs, gave up 5 touchdown passes. How can they have dominance? I don't understand the takeaway. Man, you give up 41 points, you're definitely not a big time defense. I don't know. Anyway, Georgia has a bye week and they play Alabama on September 27th. Other big game that stood out last week. This was a big one. This was a big win for Texas A&M. Texas A&M beat Notre Dame 41-40, and Notre Dame now is 0-2 in the season. So it's a team that went to the national championship game, runner up. Now they don't look good right now this year. As once said, Reed escaped pressure to throw 11-yard touchdown pass to Nate Borkircher with 13 seconds left. And Randy Bond kicked the extra point. And number 16 Texas A&M beat number 8 Notre Dame 41-40. So big time win for them, for Texas A&M, as Notre Dame still remains winless on the season. So you have to run the table to try to qualify for the playoff. Other games that stood out, Miami, man, give credit to the Hurricanes, man. They beat South Florida 49-12. This is definitely a different team, Miami. This is a defense that is definitely playing lights out. Standing, they beat Bethune-Cookman, beat them 45-13, between 45-3. They beat Notre Dame 27-24, and this past week they beat South Florida 49-12. But you look at the scoring defense, they're only allowing like 13 points a game. They gave up 24 points against Notre Dame, 3 points against Bethune Cookman. So that's 27. You add the 12, that's 39. So when you look at the divide that by three, you're talking about 13 points a game. 13 points a game. That's what they're averaging right now. 13 points a game. They're giving up. They're giving up 13 points a game. Their scoring defense is definitely different from last year. Last year's defense, scoring wise, wasn't good because they were so preoccupied with how great the offense was led by Cam Ward. And their defense was not as good. So from that standpoint, they definitely look very good and different as far as their defense is concerned. But big time performances by Carson Beck and Mark Fletcher. He had over 100 yards. Carson Beck threw for 3 touchdowns. He was 2 interceptions, but did 3 touchdowns, passes, and that's the thing about. And the thing about South Florida, they had a chance to be the first team since 1987 when Miami did it. Beat started the season with 3 consecutive wins against AP ranked opponents. Obviously, that didn't work out. The Kings ever do their thing, went 49-12. 120 yards and 2 touchdowns by Mark Fletcher Jr., 3 touchdown passes by Carson Beck. It's a big time statement win because they beat a team that was ranked. And it was the biggest victory for a margin of victory by the Hurricanes. It shows you how far Miami has come as a team to beat a team in a blowout like this. It was the biggest victory margin over a ranked team Miami has had since 2001. It beat Washington 65-7. That's the last time Miami won the national championship. So this is the year from the winning that championship. Not the case yet, but right now they look very good. So the Hurricanes also are 6-0 since the start of last season against in-state opponents, winning those games by an average margin of 34.5 points a game against the team that's in the state of Florida. So its defense is playing well and its offense is playing solid. Now they play Florida this week. See what they do against them. But Carson Beck is playing very well. Despite the 2 interceptions, 3 touchdowns, he threw for 340 yards, 23 out of 28. Mark Fletcher had 120 yards rushing. Then you look at the receivers. The receivers, these are a new crop of receivers compared to last year. You know, your Streplo is no longer here. Um, a lot of guys, left, no longer here. And when you look at these receivers, they're stepping up. Malachi Tony, Keelan Marion, Tony Johnson, Joshua Moore scored a couple of touchdowns. CJ Daniels, these guys are making plays and they're doing it with defense as well. Massador had to have a sack. Ruben Bain had a tackle for loss, 6 tackles. This team is flying to the ball and making plays. So see what happens against Florida. They play Florida next week. Also, he has some upsets, man. How about Georgia Tech, man, upsetting Clemson, 24-21 on a game-winning walk-off field goal. The upset number 12, Clemson, 55-yard field goal was made by Aiden Burke. What's up with Clemson? Clemson's supposed to be very good this year, and they have not lived up to the hype. So they don't look good. They're 1-2, and Georgia Tech right now is 3-0 in this young season. Other upsets that took place. How about Vanderbilt beating South Carolina 31-7? And this win snapped a 16-game losing streak against the Gamecocks of San Diego. South Carolina, 16-game losing streak. Gets no better than that. Diego Pavia had 18 to 25 passes for 177 yards and 2 touchdowns. So 16-game losing streak is over. As Vanderbilt went on the road, went into South Carolina and won this game on the road. That's a big time win for Vanderbilt. That was an upset. What upset stood out? Were there other upsets last week? In the top 25. LSU number 3, they beat Florida 20-10. No surprise there. And that's basically it. Well, let's see. All right, let's move forward, man. It's week 4. Not the best of games this week, but you have some interesting games. Also, you had a couple of programs in college football gonna be looking for new head coaches. Brent Pry, coach of Virginia Tech Hokies, got fired. They're 0-3. UCLA coach Deshaun Foster, he got fired. So we'll see who's gonna replace these guys. Let's look into the week ahead. Not that many great games. I mean, Auburn and Oklahoma, that's a good game on ABC at 3:30. 3-0 teams. It's a very interesting game. Auburn, Oklahoma, SEC matchup. Michigan, Nebraska, interesting. This is a big game for Notre Dame. They got to win against Purdue. They can't afford to go 0-3 on the season, else they're not gonna make it to the playoffs. South Carolina, Missouri. See how South Carolina bounced back from the upset last week. You got Miami versus Florida. Obviously, that's a rivalry in Illinois versus Indiana. Michigan State, USC. Uh, both teams are unbeaten. This game is at 11 o'clock p.m. at USC, Michigan State versus USC. But the Miami Florida game, that's going to be a no. Rivalry renewed. See how the Hurricanes match the intensity. Obviously, Florida's going to be looking for a win. So we'll see how that works out. Played each other last year in Gainesville, and Miami won 41-17. And the Gators are trying to avoid their first 1-3 start. Gotta go back to 1986, last time they dealt with this kind of situation. See what happens. I expect Miami to win. This also will be the 35th year of Miami, Florida, and Florida State all facing off in the same season. Miami plays Florida State in 2 weeks. They play them on October 4th. So see what happens. Carson Beck's playing excellent, man. He's leads the nation in completion percentage, man, 79.3%. Shows you that they had not missed a beat despite losing Cam Ward as a top pick in the draft this past draft. So it shows you Miami's consistency being stability at quarterback. Meanwhile, DJ Lagway is lagging behind. He's pretty good, pretty solid, 71% completion rate, 23rd in the nation. Miami leads the series 30-27. They won 8 of the last 10 meetings. This will be only the fourth time in the last 40 seasons that the Gators have played a true road game at Miami. Miami's 2023 scoring 17 points or more. Florida is 13-2 and scoring more than 21 points. Miami has won 6 consecutive games against in-state opponents, South Florida and Bethune-Cookman. Florida is 2-4 in its last 6 games against in-state competition. Also, Miami offensively has scored second most points in the country since the start of last year. 24, 692, one less than Indiana. They lead the country in that span with an average of 7.49 yards per play. See, Miami's what's the point spread? They favored by. They favored by. Okay, Miami's a 7.5 point favorite. I expect that. I expect Florida to be competitive. This is gonna be a very close game. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. I think Miami should be a touchdown favorite, despite Florida being unranked. This is a rivalry. You expect I expect Florida to be competitive. I think Miami will prevail in the end. Win like 24-13, something like that. All right, so let's move on to National Football League for week 2. Very wild week, man. Ray White. So overall in the NFL, right now we got 7-7 score between the Bills and the Dolphins. Bills are 2-0. They beat the Jets, blew them out. Dolphins lost to the Patriots, so they trying to get their first win. See what happens with that. But anyway, let's get into the games from last week. Just now to see Buffalo just scored a touchdown. Josh Allen threw a pass short left to Jackson Hall's tight end for a touchdown. The Bills lead 14-7. Right, let's get into last week's matchups. Week 2, the Packers beat the Commanders. Packers are for real. 27-18 last week. They're looking really good. The Bengals beat the Jaguars 31-27. They are 2-0 for the first time in a long time, but they lost their quarterback for a long period of time with the turf toe injury. So that's not a good look for Joe Burrow. But it's good to see that Cincinnati is at least 2-0. First time since 2018. But Burrow was out for a long period of time, and definitely due to the toe injury, he got to have surgery, unfortunately. So he's gonna be out. He has a grade 3 turf toe. He's gonna be undergoing a procedure. So he's gonna be out definitely. So that's a bad loss. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the game. But Browning is solid. So we'll see how he holds it down while Burrow is out. Cowboys and the Giants, man. This is a game that the Giants should have won. Bad loss for the Giants, man. They were up 37-34, and they wasn't able to make the start that they needed to serve this win. And this is a crazy, crazy game. Russell Wilson threw for 450 yards. Uh, Neighbors had 107 yards, and Robinson had 142 yards, but it wasn't good enough. And this Giants defense didn't play that well, obviously. They had, 3 sacks, but they couldn't make any stops with Dak Prescott, who threw for 361 yards. It was a classic shootout. They were able to win the game. And the field goal that RB hit was just incredible, 64 yards. Man. They won it in overtime with a 46-yard field goal. But the 64 yards is insane to make a field goal kick like that. And the Cowboys now have won 9 straight against the Giants, and the Prescott has won 14 straight against the Giants. That's crazy. He hasn't lost him since he was a rookie. Crazy. So that's the number with that. So it's a game that the Giants should have won. Simple. Go 37-34. You go down the field, you score, and you can't make any stops. Give up a field goal to tie it at 37-37. Just can't have that. 37-37, 64-yard field goal. Crazy. That was like maybe the game of the day. Pittsburgh, they lost to Seattle. Interesting win, 31-17. Bills beat the Jets 30-10. No surprise there. 49ers beat the Saints 26-21. Rams beat the Titans 33-19. The Lions got back on track 52-21. 41-17. Braves on the Browns. No surprise there. How about Daniel Jones, man? 29-28 with the final score against the Denver Broncos defense and that team as a whole. And how about Daniel Jones? He's playing very well, man. 316 yards, 23 yards, 34 and touchdown. Jonathan Taylor had 165 yards and 25 carries. Let's win, especially against that defense of Denver. 25 carries, 165 yards for Taylor. Warren, the tight end, had 79 yards receiving on 4 catches. Panthers lost to the Cardinals 27-22. The Eagles and the Chiefs in the rematch of last year. The Chiefs are 0-2. Lost to the Eagles 20-17. Chiefs are in trouble, man. They just don't have the weapons that they used to have now. Obviously, don't have Xavier Worthy. Use how Rasheed Rice is out due to suspension. But they just not the same team. They don't have a strong running game. So the Eagles are looking good, finding ways to win. The Falcons beat the Vikings 22-6. The Buccaneers are 2-0 to beat the Texans 20-19. The Chargers beat the Raiders 20-9. Herbert had 242 yards passing. So Chargers looking good, man. 2-0 on the season. All right, let's fast forward and get into the week that it is coming up for week 3. Obviously, the Dolphins and the Bills are starting off week 3. Bills are winning 14-7 in the second quarter, 11 weeks to go. So let's move forward. The Packers and the Browns. It could be like a trap game between the Packers and the Browns. I gotta go with the Packers, man. Simple as that. Colts and the Titans. Gotta go with the Colts. Man, bro, man, think about this, man. Daniel Jones is gonna be 3-0 with the Colts. Imagine that. Obviously, having some kind of last laugh in a sense. Not being a Giant, but he's doing better without the Giants so far as a Colt. The Bengals and the Vikings. This is an interesting game. Game without Joe Burrow against the Vikings. That's an interesting game. Steelers and the Patriots. Rams and the Eagles rematch the division playoff game last year. That was a great full game. So it's a rematch. So looking forward to that game. That's gonna be a great matchup. Eagles and the Rams. Buccaneers and the Jets. Ravens and the Commanders. Falcons and the Panthers. Texans and the Jaguars. Broncos and the Chargers. Interesting. See if the Chargers go 3-0. We got the Seahawks and the Saints. Cowboys and the Bears. 49ers and the Cardinals. Both 2-0 teams. And got two winners teams. The Chiefs and the Giants. You got a great Monday night football game between the Lions and the Ravens. Right, so that's it for that. That's it for that. That's it for that. So let's go into I gave my prediction. That's it for that. So let's go into I gave my prediction. Give my predictions of who's gonna win this week. I got the my 5 picks. I'm gonna go with Packers over the Browns. I think the Colts will beat the Titans. I'm going with the Rams over the Eagles. Like the Rams will win in Philadelphia. I like the Chargers to beat the Broncos, man. The Chargers look for real. So I got the Chargers winning, the Rams winning, Packers winning, and the Colts. Those are my picks right there. Right, quickly, let's get into on this day in sports history. I'll close out September 18th. We're gonna start with track back on this day in sports history. All right, let's get into it. All right, September 18th, 1848. Baseball rules allowed the first baseman to tag the base for an out instead of tagging the runner. 1903, on September 18th, Phillies Chick Frazier, no hits. Chicago Cubs 10-0. The largest paid baseball attendance, 35,409. 1909, September 8th, where the A's beat the Tigers 2-0, 2-0 in Detroit. 1938, Chicago Bears beat the Green Bay Packers 2-0. 1946, Joe Louis knocked out Tammy Morello in the first round for the heavyweight boxing title. Baseball Major League record of 4 Grand Slams was hit on September 18th, 1949. Willie Mays, on September 18th, 1955, tied Joe Adcock's record with the 9th career home run at Ebbets Field. 1956, September 18th, Mickey Mantle was the first was the eighth player rather to hit 50 home runs in a season. 1963, September 18th, the final Major League Baseball game played at the Polo Grounds was between the Philadelphia Phillies defeating the Mets 5-1. Mickey Mantle Day took place in 1965, actually 50 years ago. It's 60 years ago? I think it's 60 years ago. Mickey Mantle Day takes place at Yankee Stadium and honors Mickey Mantle's 2000th game. 1966, there was an NFL record in this game between the Baltimore Colts and the I think it's Minnesota Vikings. Threw 4 touchdowns. Johnny Unitas, a 38-23 win at Minnesota to surpass Wyatt Tittle as the NFL's career leader with 212. And finished his career with 290 touchdown passes. In 72, September 18th, for the first Black National League, Empire's Art Williams for Los Angeles versus San Diego. 1976, Cleveland Indians player manager Frank Robinson last game as a player. Tim Raines in 1984, September 18th, was the first player with 4 consecutive 70 stolen base seasons. This is an interesting one. September 18th, 1987, Detroit first baseman Darrell Evans hit his home run number 30 off of Bill Weichman in the 5th inning of the Tigers' 7-6 win over the Milwaukee Brewers, becoming the first 40-year-old to hit 30 home runs in a season. 1990, September 18th, Atlanta was chosen to host the 1996 Summer Olympics. 1991, September 18th, American League, Major League Baseball executive John Hart became the general manager of the Cleveland Indians. 1993, trailing 3-1 with 2 outs in the 9th time is called prior to Mike Stanger's pop out, giving him a second chance as the Yankees rise to beat Boston 4-3. Ken Burns' documentary miniseries Baseball premiered on PBS, winning an Emmy for Outstanding Informational Series in 1994. 1996, Roger Clemens, September 18th, tied his own major league record with 20 strikeouts. All right, that's it, man, for on this day in sports history for September 18th. So let's move on from there. My time is up. Please check out my latest article on e5280sports.com. It's up right now. Check that out. Check it out. My recaps of the college football, the NFL, stuff like that, recaps and previews and stuff like that. And also, I wrote a piece about the USC versus Alabama game from September 12th, 1970. Also, I wrote a piece including an article about Davy Johnson, who passed away. Include that article, but also September 12th, 1970, 55 years ago, where USC Trojans played the Alabama Crimson Tide. It was a watershed moment in college football history because it was the first time an integrated football team played in the state of Alabama. Trojans won 42-21, stuff like that. Sam Ben Cunningham had a big game. It's an all-white Alabama team. Stuff like that. You can read it in its entirety. About my perspective on that is a very historical moment about that game. Check it out on e5280sports.com. So that concludes episode number 69 of Inside Sports with Rashad Mitchell. Thanks for tuning in. Until then, talk to you next week.
It's all happening to you.
Talented on the beat.
Talented on the beat. Talented on the beat. Talented on the beat. Talented on the beat. Talented on the beat.